qualify for the week championship round. Different for his money. Consecutive season, we're happy to bring you the Professional Bowlers Tour. Here now is our season premiere. ABC Sports presents the Professional Bowlers Tour. During the years we've covered bowling, we've seen some of the sport's greatest stars. The legendary Don Carter was the first dominant force. Then it was Dick Weber, whose charisma helped the tour grow. And finally came the era of the great Earl Anthony. Who will be the next dominant bowler? Perhaps he'll come from our field today in our opening match. Hometown favorite Joe Staton of Anaheim, California will be seeking his first tour victory. He'll face our number 4 bowler, Dennis Jacques of Middletown, New Jersey. The winner of that match will meet the reigning United States Open champion Dave Husted of Milwaukee, Oregon. In second place, the holder of 1 PBA title, Gary Skidmore of Albuquerque, New Mexico. And the tournament leader seeking his 7th victory on the tour, Big Steve Cook of Roseville, California. That's our field today on the Professional Bowlers Tour. 27 miles southeast of downtown Los Angeles in sprawling Orange County, there's an amusement park like no other. Its name, Disneyland. This aerial view shows its magnitude, nearly 200 acres of attractions and amusements of all kinds, which have attracted millions since its inception in 1955. Today, we're only a few hundred yards from the heart of that great theme park at Brunswick Wonder Bowl for the opening stop on the Professional Bowlers Association Winter Tour. And this is the 7th year for the Miller High Life Classic. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Schenkel, delighted to be here for the start of the 22nd season. I've been here all those years, and last year was fun to see this series become of age, 21. And throughout the years, we've also had a great association with the Professional Bowlers Association based in Akron, Ohio. This year, they are celebrating their silver anniversary, their 25th. So all of us at ABC salute them. And oh, how they've grown. Since their inception way back, as you look at this graphic, you can see that they started with 33 members, total prize money of $49,000. Now, 25 years later, 2,700 professional bowlers as members and over $5 million in prize money. Eddie Elias, Joanna Nora, and a host of others have had a lot to do with that growth, and so has our colleague, Nelson Burton Jr. Here he is. Okay, Bo, we're ready for another season, and what an interesting field.
You're right, Chris. I think that this field epitomizes what we're going to see in our 22nd year. There's a lot of young players. The older players are just getting older. The Earl Anthonys, the Mark Ross, the Marshall Holmans, I think they're a little fat, and these young guys are going to push them. So I think a lot of young guys are going to be out there today. This field will show that. The only thing that I see a little different today is the left-handers have had a tremendous advantage on the championship pair. The 2 left-handers averaged 229 during the tournament. The righties only 193. We'll see how the righties can cope with it, but it's match play and anything can happen.
Well, there's one thing for sure, those 2 ingredients that you talked about that made the newcomers prominent now, I hope it doesn't happen to the 2 of us. Are you going to bowl this year?
The fountain of youth. I try to stick with it, Chris.
Right.
I bowled this week, finished 7th, and I'm real happy with that one.
Did you? You made money.
A little bit.
Look forward to your commentary.
Thank you.
Nelson Burton Jr., ladies and gentlemen. Several moments away now from our very first match, beginning of our 22nd year. Joe Staton will be going against Dennis Jacques. Stay tuned.
Out here in farm country, we still believe in early to bed and early to rise. We just try not to overdo it.
Welcome to Anaheim. It's all yours, and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller time.
The best beer for the best time of the day. Miller High Life.
Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Oh, welcome. You know you're
your broker from Dean Witter.
I want to see you hustle.
Some people just aren't easy to please, especially when it comes to their investments.
Joe, we do it.
You look like you just heard from Dean Witter.
At Dean Witter, we can give even the hard-to-please investor something to smile about.
Okay, let's see that defense.
You look like you just heard from Dean Witter.
And we're live in Anaheim, California, ready for our first match. 24-year-old Joe Staton of Anaheim, a hometown product, will be going against number 4 finisher, Dennis Jacques of Middletown, New Jersey. The East Coast against the West Bow, and it should be interesting.
Lefty against righty, too, Chris. We'll see how the championship pair fares for the right-hander. The lefties we know can hit it if the righties can make the adjustment. Young Staton, his first shot.
To the line. Lovely, smooth delivery. Leaving the 7-pin, however, on the left lane of this championship pair, Bo, and it's been a pretty consistent pair, has it not, throughout the week?
I agree, Chris. The lanes have been very consistent in the whole house, but especially the championship pair. They play about the same. The only difference is for the right-handers. The left-hand lane, lane 17 on a championship pair, is a little tighter or slicker, but they didn't have much trouble with it in practice.
Let's see how the non-winner on the PBT Tour, how he covers the 7-pin. Beautifully done. So that tension, that pressure of being in his first championship round finals is over because he has marked with a spare. Now we get a look at 6'3", 225-pound Dennis Jacques, Middletown, New Jersey. Also a non-winner. Big match today. Leaving the 4-7 on the right lane.
Dennis Jacques, a power player, and as you can see that by that shot, he just turns the ball inside out, has a lot of speed, a lot of loft, and if he wins the first match, Chris, he could get red hot. He was very sporadic in his scoring here, but when he had it, he was really tough.
Former baseball player and football player back in New Jersey. Now the 4-7. In fact, our field of 5, and I think it's the first time that we've had all 5 bowlers well over 6 feet in height.
Well, I think that's a sign of just the younger generation.
Just a lot of vitamins, huh?
You can walk through a shopping center and look up at everybody today. This young man, though, is definitely a power player. Uses that big body, upper body strength, and real strong hands to get the powerful lift and turn on the ball.
His first pro tourney was just a year ago in this event, the Miller High Life Classic. Oh, he thought he had them all. The intensity of Dennis is amazing. Just look at his face. Capacity crowd here at the Wonder Bowl. 7th year for the Miller High Life Classic. And we're going into the 18th year, really, in association with the Miller Brewing Company, as they have 2 tournaments each year. All right. Everybody's clean up to this point, and now an opportunity for the second time to see Joe Staton. On this championship pair, he averaged 228. Needless to say, the winner moves ahead and will go against the United States Open champion, David Husted. The loser will get $5,000. Well, a little 310 on the right lane for Joe Staton.
Chris, he has to go through the ball to make it finish on that lane.
Okay. That tension probably keep that from happening consistently?
Well, it's pretty warm in the building, and it's been warm in this Southern California all week, as you see the 310 split. Not too tough for the pros, but it can be a factor. It makes the ball very difficult to hold when your hands are perspiring under the pressure.
And the hometown fans watching. Oh, he put that beautifully. Lovely. So the match is all even after 2 frames.
Cross lane, you see the big hook that Joe Staton plays. Cross lane, knocks the 3, ball hooks into the 10. Much easier for a left-hander because the ball is hooking the direction of the 10-pin.
He got into this number 5 spot, as you see his week's average and average on this pair. In a 1-game roll-off against Bruce Carter, 224 to 212. So pressure started right last night in order to make the television finals. over for the southpaw. Interesting. That should make his hero smile if he's watching, Earl Anthony. Earl finished 26th in this first event. Now Dennis Jacques. To stay even, we'll have to match it with a strike. Coming up high.
The right-hand lane on the championship pair for the right-handed bowlers hooks much more. All the players felt like they had to give it some room, and that shot there hooked high, and he's got a very difficult spare, the 3, 6, 9, 10. You see the style of Dennis Jacques. See that wrist cupped at the top of the swing. Now look how low he gets and rotates that wrist all the way around the ball. Powerful lift, but just too much on that shot.
Little sign of seasoning right there. Looked good, didn't he? 6'3", 225. And perspiring because it is warm. It's warm outside in California, and it's a situation that we hate to leave and go back to snow, Bo.
Well, as the tour travels north next week to the AC Delco Classic, I don't think we'll have any snow, Chris, but
hopefully not up there.
It'll still be warm. The 9-10 split, he just pulled that ball. You must keep your head down as you go through the ball, and he raised his head up, and when he raised your head up, you pull it. He actually got a bad break. Watch the 6-pin get knocked out at the very last moment. He'd had the 6, 9, 10 spare. Instead, a much more difficult shot, the 9-10 cross lane.
Very well done. Now they're showing us a touch of class here in our very first match. It's Jacques versus Staton. The winner will meet Dave Husted, the United States Open champion. Right now, a break, but we'll be back.
Today, you need an oil this good. You need Quaker State.
When your engine's this new, you gotta protect your investment. You need an oil this good.
When your engine's this old, it needs extra care. You need an oil this good. Small engines work so hard, they demand an oil this good.
These motor oils are refined exclusively from Pennsylvania grade crude. Quaker State is so good, it's America's best-selling motor oil.
New cars.
Old cars. Small cars.
Today, you need Quaker State. You need an oil this good.
Why do 100,000-mile flyers choose United?
When I put in the miles, it pays off down the road, especially with United's Mileage Plus program. The more I fly, the bigger my rewards. All the way up to a free round trip anywhere United flies, even Hawaii. And since United serves more of the top 100 business centers, miles build fast. If your business keeps you running, Mileage Plus is a great way to get ahead.
People who fly for a living fly United's friendly skies.
The Harlem Globetrotters return to the Big Apple, and New York will never be the same. Plus, skiers attack the world's most treacherous downhill run. Another great opening, the season premiere of ABC's Wide World of Sports.
All right, the season's premiere today of the Professional Bowlers Tour. Next week, the pre-season's premiere of ABC's Wide World of Sports at 5 Eastern, 4 Central. And incidentally, we'll be back at our regular Professional Bowlers telecast time of 3:30 Eastern. Don't forget, that's all next Saturday.
Staton strike up, leading by 5, 4th frame.
That ball just didn't come up.
Chris, you picked it out in the 2nd frame. He's just way too tentative on that shot, and he has to go through it and get the ball up to the pocket. You can't strike unless you hit the head pin. You can't keep it that wide. Now, if he was nice and loose and relaxed, then the ball would finish from that area out around the 3rd or 4th board. That little extra squeeze cuts some of the hook down. He's got the washout.
And it's on the right lane of this championship pair. So it's the first open frame of our first match here at the Wonder Bowl in Anaheim. So that tightened things up again here in this first match, but as we replay that shot using the full approach.
Tries to go across lane and drive the 1 pin over into the 7. Doesn't quite catch all of it. He has a real good style. See, his shoulders are a little far forward and a little stiff-legged as he comes up. See that elbow go away from his body. You don't get the leverage then.
And because of it now, Joe trails by 7 instead of leading. The adjustment made by these professional bowlers is phenomenal. You know, in many other individual sports, you can recover from an error or a bad stroke on the golf course. But here, if you make an error, it's lost. But coming back with that strike should spur him on. Jacques now with the shot. And answering right back. The intense Dennis Jacques of Middletown, New Jersey.
Jake showing the value of spares. He converted very difficult spares in the first 4 frames.
Or last year I made just finals without cashing. I want to become a well-rounded player where I can even out the amount and hopefully make just a little bit more money this year.
That was his answer to a question. Does he feel, or rather, what goals he set for himself? A lot of strikes, naturally, but in that case, he got them all but one on the left lane.
The natural tendency on any lane that doesn't break or you don't feel the ball come back when you give it room is to pull it up. So Dennis in the last 2 shots has been high. In the 4th frame, he left the 9-10 on a crossover, and here in the 6th has left the 6 pin. If he converts here, he'll be leading the match by 7.
All right, with that 7-pin lead up now, and to take the lead if he can double, there is Bruce Carter, the alternate.
That's just a fan in the stands, Chris. Bruce Carter gave it a valiant try. He was in a sudden death roll-off with Staton, who's up on the approach now, so we'll rectify that in a minute.
Yeah, we get the right body. Well, what have we here? Now it's the test of Joe Staton's mental capacity as a competitor. Let's replay that stroke and see why it happened.
He made the adjustment, Chris, moved farther to the left to make the ball break up higher, but it was just too much. He gets the 4, 6, 7, 10, wide open split. Best he can do is try to get 2 of them. He has a strike up, try to save some count.
So unfortunately, it's the 2nd open frame now for Joe Staton. Now, let's find the real Bruce Carter. Aha. There's Bruce, the alternate. He lost in a roll-off. To Joe Staton, who is up bowling now on the left lane.
Great career in front of that young man. He can really do it, Chris. He matured last year on the tour, and I look for him to have a real good year this year. As you can see, Staton has had quite a bit of trouble with the left-hand lane.
All right. One of the 5 men that went through 42 games of bowling to get into the finals. It's been a long week here in the Miller High Life Classic, as it is each week. There you see the round leaders. Other than Steve Cook, it was Mike Albee and Gary Skidmore who finished 2nd here. And you'll see him bowl a little bit later. Good competition. Dennis Jacques now on the right lane. A high hit, and here we go again. 4, 6, 7, 10.
Chris, we talked about them being young players, but they're showing their inexperience right now. They're just not controlling their form out there on the approach. And one good tip under pressure is to maintain your form. Any great runner knows that. Any great weightlifter or anything else, keep that form. These guys are just throwing balls.
Yeah. Well, he wanted more than 1 pin for count, but this tightens up the match now between these 2 non-winners. It's a 6-pin lead now, held by Jacques of Middletown, New Jersey. And he'll bowl next on the left lane. Don't forget, next week, our regular time, 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 Central.
That's what he feared, the 2-4-5-8. Every frame he has been high on the left-hand lane, so he gave it room that time. You see the ball out there about the 10th board. Now it has to break up to at least the 15th board to get a wall shot strike. It gets to about 14.5. Head pin goes to sideboard, doesn't get the desired action. Tough spare again.
See how the left-hander, or the right-hander rather, covers this bucket. A little bit cross lane.
Has the crowd murmuring, Chris, but all I can say is it's inexperience. This championship pair has been a very smooth, even pair during the week, and I think the winner of this game is going to have a tremendous advantage because he'll loosen up and get stroking, but then again, he has to go against the very tough David Husted. Staton could increase his lead with a double here.
Shooting in the 8th frame of this first match. 3.67 for this young man. So for you bowlers at home, whatever your level of proficiency, these professionals have their problems too.
Chris, the right-hand lane for Joe Staton, 3.10 in the second frame, 1.379 in the fourth, 4.67.10 in the sixth, and the 3.67 in the eighth. I don't think he likes this lane at all. He has to finish in the 10th frame on this lane also.
Went for it all the way. The hometown product of Anaheim, California, Joe Staton. Earlier we had a chance to ask him if he felt the effect of the hometown crowd.
Yes, I believe that the hometown crowd was definitely a deciding factor in my success here this week. Anytime I got down, they were right behind me, cheering me on even harder than they were the game before.
Well, they're going to have to start doing some cheering now as we come to the pivotal 9th frame, Chris. He trails by 9 pins.
And the 4, 6, 7, 10. Doesn't show a lot of emotion, but you can tell how he feels about that last shot.
Well, you can see the value of speed. The ball looks in pretty good position as it goes down to about the 50-foot mark on the lane, Chris, and then it breaks very sharply, cutting through, leaving another almost impossible split. And the thing to learn here is keep your speed up, especially under pressure. He's just eased up. The ball hooks too much.
So it's another open, and both bowlers have had trouble with speed.
Dennis Jacques has been erratic. He's been too slow, too hard, and definitely has dug himself a hole. If anybody wants to know the lowest game we've ever had on the PBT over the year, Chris, it was 131 in Toledo by one of the great ones, Roy Buckley, in 1975.
And 3 opens, Staton, 1 for Jacques, and possibly another now here in the 9th. That foundation frame of 4, 6, 7, 10, and Bo. Anything could happen now.
Well, we use some tour terminology out here, and when you get 3 opens in a row, we call it a buzzard, and there is one. There's an official buzzard. 4, 6, 7, 10. This match is not over.
Not to be confused with an eagle, right?
Our scorekeeper, Mike Durham, getting a workout the first game.
Test his mathematical genius now as Jacques, Mike tells us, is in a 9-pin lead situation here in the first match.
Regardless of what's happened for the first 9 frames, Jacques carries a 9-pin lead in the 10th frame. And this is match play competition. At least $1,000 at stake in this game.
Because the loser here will get 5. The winner advances, and should he lose in the next match, he would get $6,000.
Here's a young man sitting there who could throw him in the clutch. He threw 8 consecutive strikes to make the championship round. Right now, if Dennis Jacques gets a double, no matter how he gets it, because I don't think he even knows how he's going to throw it, he would shut out Joe Staton. If he doesn't strike, Staton has a chance to win.
Doubling when it counted. Dennis Jacques, who has quite a little background. He bowled a right-handed 300 game in the Denver Open last year, and then another left-handed several weeks later in a sanctioned league play in New Jersey. But it was the double here that really counted. Oh, a 3-bagger in this very erratic first game, and a 163 is the score for Jacques.
Joe Staton, the best he can shoot is 154. What a way to start the season. That's probably the lowest 2 games I've ever seen together on a PBT, Chris.
All right, we have the winner, and of course we'll have the final score on Staton in a moment. But let's pause to hear from some of the sponsors of the Professional Bowlers Tour.
The Professional Bowlers Tour. This ABC Sports exclusive is brought to you by Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of the day. Welcome to Miller Time. By Quaker State, made from Pennsylvania-grade crude oil. New or old cars, small or big cars, staying on the road with Quaker State. And by Ryder Truck Rental, the best truck money can rent or lease. Now back to Chris Schenkel.
We're just a long stone's throw from the theme park Disneyland in Anaheim, California. The winner today of the Miller High Life Classic 23, 12 for second, 7,500 for third, 6 for fourth. $5,000 will go to Joe Staton, who was just defeated by Dennis Jacques, 163 to 133. And now, Jacques gets the test from the U.S. Open champion, Dave Husted.
Sports Car Club of America supported professional rally events, provided some of the hottest action in U.S. motorsports last year. And Firestone was in the competition with a specially prepared Ford Escort and the new Firestone 721 Metrics radial tires. SCCA Pro Rally, with its wide-ranging race action from Texas to Washington State, was the perfect proof of performance for the 721 Metrics, a tire redesigned for downsized domestic and import cars. The SCCA Pro Rally 82 campaign took racers through every extreme of weather, from winter snow-swollen streams to the dust of the desert, with the new 721 Metrics, a tire designed for all-season performance plus handling. Firestone 721 Metrics, proof of performance in SCCA Pro Rally. At Firestone, we're building radial tires street legal, competition tough, and the word's getting around.
Monday, join the 10th anniversary celebration of the American Music Awards live.
Your Lincoln Mercury dealers announce 11.9% annual percentage rate financing on all of today's new 1983 and 82 models. With 11.9% APR, you could save hundreds of dollars. So now's the time to get front-wheel drive Mercury Lynx and LN7, Hot Capri, precision-size Marquis, and 6-passenger Grand Marquis. Now's the time to get the luxurious Lincoln, the remarkable Mark 6, or the elegant Continental. Now's the time to come to the Sign of the Cat for low 11.9% financing.
New York. A leader in education. A leader in the arts. A leader in commerce. And unfortunately, a leader in dependence on unreliable foreign oil. To help break that dependence on foreign oil, we've been using nuclear energy to replace 15 million barrels of oil each year. Coal, conservation, and nuclear energy. Energy for America, from America.
John Wayne tonight at 11:45.
Our premier has gotten off to an unusual start. Dennis Jacques has defeated Joe Staton by a score of 163 to 133. For Staton, well, 5 open frames. For the winner, Jacques 3 open and 4 strikes. Tough pair proving to be, but now it's Jacques going against the United States Open champion, Dave Husted of Milwaukee, Oregon. Shooting first, Jacques.
Let's see if a victory loosens Dennis Jacques up.
Appeared to be a good hit, but left the 10th pin. Steve Cook, our tournament leader, who will be on a little bit later in 2 matches, is warming up, as is Gary Skidmore, who will meet the winner of this, our second game.
Jacques is just happy to have a spare to shoot at. He doesn't care what it is, as long as it isn't the 4, 6, 7, 10. Let's see what he does.
All right, it is a spare for Jacques. Now, 6'2" David Husted, a smooth professional bowler who has won 2 titles. His first win was in the United States Open, and it came in big style because he had to defeat 4 opponents and average 252 in order to get the title, and he's the 6th man to crack Nelson the $100,000 earned mark in a season. Did it last year, and right behind Earl Anthony. That just didn't come up. 1-2-10.
Husted, who took a re-rack there, is allowed 1 per game, and then he has to get a ruling from the tournament director, Harry Golden. But Husted moved to the outside line, figuring he could get a better angle of the pocket. The ball skid all the way to the pit. 1-2-10. It may be another one of those games, Chris.
So for the U.S. Open champion, it's an open frame on the right lane. And the first game ended 163 to 133. Husted's opponent here in the second game, the winner of the first, Dennis Jacques over Joe Staton. There you see the stats. Young, 22. What a future.
Really a great natural athlete, great bowling talent.
There's what you'll see David do, and getting plenty of cheering from his family here as they've come down from Milwaukee, Oregon to cheer him on from Middletown, New Jersey. Dennis Jacques, who marked with a spare in the first frame. Leaving the 4-pin.
Dennis making much better shots now. You got the solid 10 on the left-hand lane, 4-pin on the right-hand lane. The characteristic of this pair of lanes is coming through, as you see from behind the pins. Ball cutting through will hit the 1, 3, 5, and 9. Leaving the 4. 2-pin went right around it.
So along the way, you got to trip those 4s. But covered it, marking with his second spare of this second match. Winner will meet Gary Skidmore of Albuquerque, New Mexico. The winner of that semifinal game will go against Big Steve Cook, the tournament leader. I say big because he's 6 feet 7 inches tall and a 6-time winner. Jake's getting his first strike of this second game. And incidentally, this year, we welcome this fact. True Value will give $50,000 for a 300 game on the championship pair.
And you see the trajectory that David Husted's playing out near the channel, swinging back into the pocket between the second and third arrows.
So a big double for Husted. David checking out the soles of his bowling shoes, having a little trouble sliding the way he'd like to.
See his average for the week, 223. You know the scores are out there. It's a matter of the players loosening up, getting acclimated to championship round conditions.
So it's a 3-bagger for Dave Husted. And a 10-pin lead. As his opponent struck in the last frame, Dennis Jacques. We're going to take a break here in the $135,000 Miller High Life Classic for these messages, but we'll be back.
Welcome to Miller time. It's all yours, and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller time, yours and mine.
The best beer for the best time of the day. Miller High Life.
From simple piston engines to turbocharged power. From 1 acre a day to 75 acres a day. Ideas that made America grow and made millionaires out of many who risked investing in them. At First Jersey Securities, we believe such investment opportunities still exist, if you know where to look for them. We do. We specialize in discovering America's emerging growth companies for today's investors with vision. First Jersey Securities. Come grow with us.
Saturdays, ABC Sports Beat with Howard Cosell. The Professional Bowlers Tour. ABC's Wide World of Sports. Saturdays are just the beginning on ABC.
We're live in Anaheim, California. Brunswick Wonder Bowl for the Miller High Life Classic. This is the man that won the first match, 163 to 133 over Joe Staton, Dennis Jacques of Middletown, New Jersey. Second game. He wanted that because he had a strike working, shooting in the 4th frame of the second game as he goes against the Open champion, Dave Husted.
Strike right there would have evened the matchup. Jacques with the big hook ball, cut through very sharply. He left the 4-7-10, 2-pin went to the sideboard, knocked out the 4-7. Has a relatively easy spare cross lane.
And for those of you that just joined us, we'd like to further explain the 133 as we look at the dad of Jacques and his fiancée, Chris. But in the first game, Dennis's opponent, Joe Staton, had 5 open frames. Dennis himself had problems, 3 opens, but he did mark with 4 strikes. Spare in the 4th, now shooting in the 5th frame. A week from today, ABC's Wide World of Sports returns for the season premiere. It'll be on at 5, its regular time, and we're happy to say the Professional Bowlers Tour will be on at its regular time at 3:30 Eastern.
At the AC Delco Classic up in Oakland, California.
Archie Long comes west. All right, spare in the 5th for Dennis Jacques. Now leading by 11 pins and 3-bagger up.
Husted asking for a second re-rack, Chris. We said that he gets 1 a game. Now he's looking at, apparently he sees a pin that's off spot. Now, by rule, the pin has to be within a 1/4 inch of the center of each spot. Now, if it's 1 pin off a 1/4 one way and off another way, it could be up to a 1/2 inch. Harry Golden, with his trained eye, can spot that, and we'll tell him whether he has to shoot or not. He has granted the re-rack. Husted's ready. He leads by 11.
Harry Golden, all 22 years out here on tour. He's on the right lane, remember, with a 3-bagger up. Leaving the 2, 4, 5, 8 on the right lane.
You can see that ball just sliding by. What has happened is the conditioner or oil you have on the lane has carried down the lane. You see there's no finish in the back end. The reason the scores were real high on this pair earlier in the week, the oil didn't carry down the lanes like that, Chris, and the ball would finish. Makes it much more difficult when you have very little hook on the back end.
And like the pro he is, covered the bucket. Dave Husted. Earlier we asked him what changes he had made in his game.
Last year was a good year for myself. I've made 2 changes, though. First one's been my push away and the start of my approach, and secondly, I've tried to go a little quicker this year. This helps my concentration quite a bit.
As you can watch, David always took the ball outside. By that, he took it away from his body and realigned it, and he used to take a lot of time on the approach and tighten up. See, he's going in about 2 or 3 seconds. Most of the great stars are fast.
Going for 5 frames, 4 strikes on his spare. And showing the skill that he really has, now leading by 44.
Wife Michelle of Husted on the left and mother Kathy on the right, rooting for David Husted.
Dennis Jacques, shooting in the 6th frame, needs to strike. Powerful strike. Some of your other favorites, how they finished. Mark Roth was 9th, Earl Anthony 26th, Marshall Holman 42nd. Mike Durbin, new PBA president, was 101st. And Glenn Allison, 136th, Bo.
Glenn Allison, he'll be a feature of one of our tips. He's the man that rolled the controversial 900 series in league. We're going to shoot a special on him next Monday, and we'll have it on air in a future bowling tips of the week.
Did you see the late hook on that ball? Well, 10 pin on the left lane for a concerned Dennis Jacques. Previous best PBA finish, 8th. And the fair lane's open.
Rolling much better this game. He's keeping the ball in play, much more relaxed. He's working at a 2:05 pace.
Cross lane and well done. So it's a neat match here in our second game. We're live in Anaheim, California, and we'll return for more of the action in the second game following this.
Because the cost of all energies is rising, manufacturers of heating equipment have developed more efficient designs to help you keep costs down. That's good, but the claims can be confusing. So here are a few simple facts about natural gas. Gas delivers America's best energy value because gas is America's most efficient energy system. So when you invest in modern high-efficiency gas appliances, America's best energy value gets even better. Gas, because the future belongs to the efficient.
Charlie should have known trouble was coming. He had warnings, hard starting, hesitation, stalling. STP gas treatment might have helped. It tunes up your gas for better performance. Used regularly, it keeps water from building up in your tank, helps clear your entire fuel line, and cleans your carburetor for better mileage. Satisfaction guaranteed. Don't wait for the warning signs. Get STP gas treatment and tune up your gas.
This is Gary Skidmore of Albuquerque, New Mexico, the 28-year-old professional who finished second after 42 games. He'll be meeting the winner of our second match, which features Dennis Jacques and Dave Husted. Here is Husted in the lead by 7, has a strike up, now shooting in the 7th frame. That one just did not come up. 1-5-8-10.
The lanes have even the best players confused. Husted making a move to the right on the approach and the lane, trying to adjust for the bucket he had. And watch what happens. It just slides by.
So he will have to shoot the 1, 2, 8, 10 now. Well, instead of leading, now trailing by 5. So it'll be the 8th frame now for Dave Husted. Looks up at the overhead score sheet to make sure. What he saw in that last frame he didn't like, as you see it now. It was an open. 133 through 7. More like it as we replay that perfect shot, and Bo Burton with the telestrator.
David Husted right down the second arrow and right down into the pocket, almost ideal. He's not playing much hook, and that's the reason he's bowling so well on that left-hand lane. See the trajectory of the ball. Perfect hit.
And crossing over, and he'll take it. Dennis Jacques for that strike in the 8th. And Bo, with that mighty stroke of the electronic pin, the pocket is easy to find, isn't it?
For me, I'm not out there, so apparently they were bowling a little better than I was, Chris.
Yeah, you felt you did well, though.
Bowled real well at the end. Pivotal frame for Dennis Jacques. He leads by 5. He's up on the lane he likes. He can really put it to David Husted, take a 15-pin lead with a double.
And he does just that after a tough smash over Joe Staton, 163 to 133. Now, Husted is up.
Ralph Jacques and Dennis's fiancee, Chris, approved of that one. And once again, Husted doesn't like the rack on the right-hand lane. And what he said to Harry Golden was the pocket is wide open. He's afraid that if the 1, 3, or 2 separated too wide, that he'll get a tap with one of the back rows, an 8-pin, a 9-pin, or a 10-pin.
Long look by Harry Golden. Husted now shooting in the 9th frame with that strike up in the 8th. There they are, all 10 of them.
Needs this one to cut the lead of Dennis Jacques down to just 5 pins.
Pressure shot by Husted.
Husted takes a back seat to no one when it comes to performing in the clutch, is in a position right now to take the lead in the match. He trails by 5. He has a double working. A strike here would give him a 5-pin lead and put the pressure on Jacques.
David Husted, who helps his dad, Champ, operate a bowling center. Michelle.
Yes! What a break.
Well, he loved that strike.
He said got a break, and he sure did. The 2-pin went to the sideboard on a very high hit, tripped it out, and gives him the lead in the match. He knows it's high. He knows he's got trouble. What a great break at a crucial time. He has struck on the left-hand lane every single time. 2nd, 4th, 6th, 8th, and 10th frame. He can't shut Jacques out, but he can make it tough.
And he's on that same lane right now. Sliding by the head pin, the 1, 2, 8. Pin count just almost immaterial right now. If
he just gets one of the pins, he'll force Dennis Jacques to get one strike. Jacques must strike.
See the tension, pressure on his face. The 1-2-8 sleeper 8. All right, it's a 2-10 for the United States Open champion, Dave Husted.
Dennis Jacques going to the side, checking the scoreboard, Chris. He needs one strike to win the match.
Remember, he won the first game, 163 to 133, where both bowlers had a lot of problems. The loser of this match, 6,000, but the winner has a chance for at least 7,500. In the next game, 12,000. If you finish second, and 23 if you go all the way.
No! Breaks are evened up.
And having shot a 210, Husted is gone.
What a break, Chris. Husted got a good break in the 10th, but this one was just providential by Dennis Jacques. Right through the nose, comes across, knocks the 6 pin out. He has to just stay behind the foul line, and he wins the match.
So here's a non-winner. Dennis Jacques, Middletown, New Jersey. Great area of that fine state. He'll be in the 220s as his opponent, Husted, finished with a 210. So the winner of the second match, 2 in a row for him. His opponent will be Gary Skidmore of Albuquerque, New Mexico. That'll happen soon.
My American friends introduced me to my favorite beer, light beer from Miller. Now I'm introducing them to my favorite food. With nachos, the best thing about light is it tastes great.
Not bad.
With enchiladas, the best thing is it's got a third less calories than the regular beer. With burritos, the best thing is it's less filling.
Carlos, what's this?
And with jalapeno peppers, the best thing about light is it's cold.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
What this country needs today is a really good rental truck at a really good price. So Ryder presents the $24.95 a day truck. For local rentals, this 18-foot Ryder truck is now only $24.95 a day plus a variable mileage charge. And Ryder has great rates on other size trucks, too, from small vans up to giant tractors. What this country needs today is a really good rental truck at a really good price. $24.95 a day. Ryder.
Baseball star Jim Palmer.
I hate dandruff.
Can Tegrin control Jim Palmer's dandruff for 3 days without shampooing?
3 days?
Tegrin test, day 1.
Beautiful, so far.
Day 2.
Tegrin's still working. Good thing it's almost airtime.
Day 3.
Tegrin controlled my dandruff 3 days.
Jim Palmer, looking good.
Try Tegrin. It passed the 3-day test.
Tegrin works day after day after day.
And the finish of another interesting match here in Anaheim Live. David Husted, the Open champion, could not best Dennis Jacques of New Jersey, 228 to 210. So Jacques now goes against Gary Skidmore in the semifinal match with Steve Cook, the tournament leader, waiting in the wings. You know, one of the features that all of you enjoy on our telecast each week has been the Rolaids Tip of the Week. Well, that'll happen starting next week, but the host of it, Nelson Burton Jr., this week has a little different tip, and to me, it's a great tip for viewers.
Well, Chris, the tips will be as usual, but this week we're prefacing the next 15 weeks of the Pro Bowlers Tour, showing some of the highlights from last year and showing where we'll be all the way through April 30th.
And it's always great to see the different parts of the country as we have for a long time. Next week, of course, it's Alameda, but here's Nelson Burton Jr. to tell you about all 15 stops coming up.
The Professional Bowler's Tip of the Week is brought to you by Rolaids.
Next week, the tour travels north to the greater San Francisco area. We'll be across the bay from the great cosmopolitan city for the $135,000 AC Delco Classic. Week 3, it's on to the desert of Nevada as we travel to Las Vegas for the 22nd straight year for the Showboat Invitational. Art Trask will defend his title the following week when he leads a field of 160 bowlers in the $125,000 Quaker State Open in Grand Prairie. The pros will receive a warm greeting on February 12th when they enjoy the sea, sand, and surf while competing in the Greater Miami Sunshine Open. St. St. Louis, the gateway city, is next for the Rolaids Open on February 19th. We stay in the Midwest for week 7, as Art Trask is again on the spot as he defends his title in Peoria at the $150,000 True Value Open. Trask is also the defending champion the next week when the tour visits the southern shores of Lake Erie for the Cleveland Open on March 5th. Last year in Toledo, Earl Anthony became the first man in bowling history to pass $1 million in career earnings as he won his 5th PBA National Championship. He'll be back to try for number 6 this season. Last year in Kansas City, Pete Couture ended a year-and-a-half's absence from the winner's circle. When he returns on March 19th, he definitely will be the man to beat. On March 26th, Milwaukee, one of America's most enthusiastic bowling cities, will host the rich Miller High Life Open for the 18th straight year. David Husted will lead the field the next week when the tour travels to the Windy City for the middle jewel of bowling's Triple Crown, the BPAA U.S. Open. Pete Weber was a study of anxiety and intensity last year when he won the Greater Hartford Open. And on April 9th of this year, he'll defend that crown. Malacosta used a half and in the final game to win the Fairlanes Open last year, and he hopes it will be back this time. An awe-inspiring skyline of New York City is on slate for week number 15. Another towering figure, 6'6" Steve Cook, will defend his title. Fittingly enough, the tour will conclude its 16-week run on April 30th with its most prestigious event, the Firestone Tournament of Champions. Defending champ Mike Durbin will try for an unprecedented 3rd victory in Akron. So that concludes today's special tip of the week, a look at the richest tour in the history of the Professional Bowlers Association.
Roger Staubach for Rolaids.
How do you spell relief?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S. I hate to admit it, but I eat a lot of greasy foods.
For acid indigestion, I spell it R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
Rolaids really does spell relief.
Like a sponge, Rolaids antacid medicine consumes 100% of the acid required to give millions 100% relief.
How do you spell relief?
I spell relief R-O-L-A-I-D-S.
All right. For millions of Americans, Rolaids spells 100% relief.
Capacity crowd watching the Professional Bowlers Tour telecast live at the Wonder Bowl in Anaheim, California. First stop in our 22nd year as we move to the semifinal match. Dennis Jacques has won 2. He's a non-winner, 163 to 133, and then defeated the U.S. Open champion Dave Husted, 228 to 210. Dennis with 7 strikes. First shot. 3rd match crossing over, and he's done it before today. Man from New Jersey. Don't be embarrassed. Take it.
Well, here's the position that Chris Schenkel and Nelson Burton Jr. see the match from.
Talented Sal Felino with his roving ABC camera.
New face right here, Chris. Gary Skidmore, but you're going to see a lot of him. This young man is a disciplined bowler. I would be very surprised if he panics under the pressure. His first appearance, but he will throw it well.
Didn't get the break. 10-pin remains standing. This 28-year-old professional, 6'1", 185 pounds, and obviously a very fine athlete.
Stays in good shape. His wife was a former great bowler on the college level at Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania College. And in fact, I saw their team bowl once. She's quite a bowler, and she helps Gary out quite a bit with his bowling on the tour.
And Gary, a product of the All-American Youth Bowling Program. And marks for the spare in the first frame of our semifinal game. The winner will go into the finals against our tournament leader, Steve Cook. Let's get a profile replay.
Powerful guy. Watch the upright style. He gets complete leverage on the ball, shoulder high swing. Now watch as he comes through, how he drives through very hard with his right leg. Good follow through. See how that hand went way above the head. Nice consistent shot. Fingertip grip using a polyurethane bowling ball.
And now on the left lane of this championship pair. Nice delivery, nice delivery. And we deliver something to you next week. That's right, the return of ABC's Wide World of Sports. Harlem Globetrotters returning for the 11th year. Oh, they're just great to watch. And Bo, the treachery of downhill skiing, the Men's World Cup.
Yeah, Chris, and the comeback of Franz Klammer could be something to watch.
And this man has come back today, Dennis Jacques. He has a double, and he takes a 10-pin lead. Season's premiere, Wide World, next week at 5 Eastern. Professional Bowlers Tour, back to its regular time, 3:30 Eastern Time.
With the AC Delco Classic, new sponsor on the Winter Tour, big tournament. Jake's taking advantage of that crossover strike in the first frame, packed it right in the second, got a double working.
Evan crossed over, but didn't get the 3-pin.
Sooner or later, that's got to catch up with you, though. Right through the nose, broke up the split. There's Ralph, Dennis's father, and Chris just flew in, barely made it for the championship round.
All right, it's a spare for Jakes and a 9-pin lead. So now, with a strike up, Gary Skidmore can change that by a pin.
Skidmore, Chris, has won one tournament. He qualified 5th and won all 4 matches during a summer tour event. And that's his only chance to win. He's been very tough every time.
Leaving the 4, couldn't trip it out on the right lane. Skidmore having won in Willie Nelson's home, Austin, Texas.
Gary met his wife, Sherry, at a Pro Bowlers tournament at the Cleveland Open 2 years ago. A year later, they were married, traveling the tour together.
Spare strike, spare for Gary Skidmore, trailing by 9. Moving now to the left side, as you see, part of the sellout crowd here at the Wonder Bowl. And with his glasses reading the program is the sheriff. Friend of mine, Joe Higgins. What an actor. What a great guy. And he loves bowling and flying.
He's very knowledgeable about bowling and quite a personality.
The 4-pin once more.
Skidmore keeping the ball in play. He was in the pocket the first frame, got a strike in the second, posts again in the third, leaves the 4-pin in the 4th. He's not going to beat himself. The man is a well-disciplined player. Throws a medium hook, semi-roller on the ball, and I look for a lot of good things for him, especially when lanes get tough. He's a tough, gritty player. Doesn't look for the big games, just tries to keep it in play.
All right, a spare for Skidmore in the 4th, and Dennis Jacques leading by 10 pins. It's a spare up. We'll be shooting in the 4th when we return to Anaheim, California after this.
You know, there's nothing like getting together for a nice, friendly game of cards. That's right. Jim brings the cards. Uh-oh. Mickey brings the doll.
Thanks, doll.
And I bring the beer. Light beer from Miller. Light tastes great. It's got 1/3 less calories than the regular beer. And it's less filling. And you don't want to get filled up when you're dealing with these guys who... Okay, Numa, cut the cards. Oh, no.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Whether you just turned 10 or just turned pro, there's a Brunswick ball built for you. In the weight you need, the colors you want, for pinpoint accuracy, explosive power, built to take out pins like a charge of dynamite. That's Brunswick. Now get a $3 rebate from Brunswick on the new Crown Jewel, Brunswick's plastic powerhouse. It's a dynamite deal.
It is bold, it is new, it is destiny. The United States Football League, starting March 6th every Sunday on ABC. The country waits.
In the lower right quarter of your screen, that is 22-year-old Dennis Jacques. First full year of tournament play. He's earned $14,000 up to this point, as a chance for $23,000 a day. Strike in 4 frames for this man, Dennis Jacques, who won the first 2 matches, 163 to 133, 228 to 210. We go to Nelson Burton and the tournament leader.
Thank you, Chris. Tournament leader Steve Cook, second in the last tournament in 1982, first here in 1983. How'd you keep the momentum going?
Well, I just went home. I took a couple of weeks off, and then I came back out and started really practicing pretty hard, and I just felt fantastic coming this week, and lanes were a little bit more to my liking, and, you know, I just bowled real good.
How about Earl Anthony? We need a left-hander to supplant him as number one. You feel you can do it?
I think I could do it, but I still think Earl's around, so, you know, there's going to be a lot of fight there.
He's still around, Chris. He won $134,000 last year and has passed the $1 million mark. Steve Cook's got a tall hill in front of him.
Okay, and Steve Cook, who last year earned $77,000. Dennis Jacques, at whom we're looking, now tries the 2-10. Oh, a little body English didn't help. And going into that, Dennis had a 10-pin lead, and he loses the lead now to Gary Skidmore, who leads by 2 with a spare up, shooting in the 5th frame. There's Skidmore of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Big one for Gary. Only his second strike in 5 frames. Unlike the other bowlers, we had a chance to ask Gary earlier the effect his wife has had on his game.
She's come in real handy. She's been able to chart my shots as I'm bowling. She keeps track of strikes, opens, splits. We go over it at night when we go home. If I'm having problems with a certain pair, maybe when I come back the next day, I'll have a different game plan.
And Chris is...
He better get a new way to describe what an effect his wife has. Comes in handy. I can see all the wives in America cringing.
Oh, she's quite a bowler, and she's helped Gary out, made him part of what he is today.
That one slid by, and it's the big 2-10.
The 2-10 split. Every time somebody's had a chance to put Dennis Jacques way behind, they've had an open frame and given him a chance. Now, right here, Skidmore comes up. He had the lead. Could have put a 12-pin bulge between the 2 players, and here he has a very tough split.
For the pros, the odds are 4-1 to convert this. Couldn't beat the odds. So it's an open frame coming in the 6th, and the lead goes back to Jacques.
Chris, the reason we're seeing all these open frames and confusion among the players out there is simply that it's very warm in here, and it was up to 87 here in Southern California, and the conditioner or oil in the lane is carrying all the way the back end, makes the lane very difficult to control the ball on.
And Jacques, who has had his share of problems today, leaves the 7-pin, shooting in the 6th frame.
Nobody can really attack on a condition like this. Personally, have bowled in certain times when lanes got very tough, and what should be going through a player's mind is stay clean, make those spares, let the opponent defeat himself. Dennis Jacques to keep the ball around the pocket, make the spares.
And he just marked for the spare.
Dennis Jacques has a strategy for attacking the championship here, and as we see it right here, lane 17, it's tighter, and I'll reach through the ball. That means he has to reach farther and follow through. He hasn't been doing that. That's why it crosses over the left side. The right lane, he's had pretty much success following what he said. He'll play the track. That's between the 2nd and 3rd arrow. Let's see what he does on this shot.
That one just came up too high, leaving the 6, 7, 10. Dennis Jacques, who had a 163 in his first victory, a 228 in his second.
Cutting right through the heart, 6, 7, 10, as you said, Chris. Still a very makeable split for the pros. It's tough, but he's got to go for it in a position like this. If he makes it, he maintains the lead. If he doesn't, he falls behind.
Nope. 123 through the 7th. Now he trails by 4. The leader is Gary Skidmore. You'll see him bowl following this message. We're live in Anaheim.
Hey, over here, over here. Charlie should have known trouble was coming. He had warnings, hard starting, hesitation, stalling. STP gas treatment might have helped. It tunes up your gas for better performance. Used regularly, it keeps water from building up in your tank, helps clear your entire fuel line, and cleans your carburetor for better mileage. Satisfaction guaranteed. Don't wait for the warning signs. Get STP gas treatment and tune up your gas.
Every month you can find an outstanding tool specially priced at your True Value hardware store. The January tool value of the month is 2 pairs of Servest pliers, both for just $288.
They feature slip joints for adjusting the jaws to fit different sized objects. And when you have two pairs of pliers, you can keep one handy in the workshop, the other in the kitchen. So get both of these Servest pliers now for just $288 while supplies last at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
The Harlem Globetrotters return to the Big Apple, and New York will never be the same. Plus, skiers attack the world's most treacherous downhill run. Another great opening, the season premiere of ABC's Wide World of Sports.
We're in Anaheim for the Professional Bowlers Tour, and next week, the season's premiere of ABC's Wide World of Sports at 5 Eastern. And we'll be back at our regular time at 3:30 Eastern. So be sure and join us a week from today. Gary Skidmore of Albuquerque, New Mexico, has a 4-pin lead. Shooting now in the 7th frame of the semifinal game, the winner to meet Steve Cook for the $23,000 first prize.
Chris, he's got the right name for what's happening out there on the lane, Skidmore, and that's exactly what's happening out there. The ball is just skidding more and more down the lane as the conditioner and oil carries all the way to the back. And look, very little hook on this ball at all as we watch it from behind the pins. Slides right by, leaves the 1-2 spare. Now, that's not a very tough spare, but it's very disconcerting when you realize you're trying to throw the ball in the pocket and it crosses over every time you point it up.
Effective with that stroke. Marking with that spare in the 7th frame. And it helps to talk to yourself in whatever your endeavor.
Skidmore's never had a loss in the championship round. His one other opportunity came in the Austin tournament, Chris. Wins 4 matches in a row. He is still undefeated, 4-0, trying for 5.
And winning that exempted him from the Rabbit squad, and that is a big plus. So it's a 6-pin on that left lane for Skidmore. Let's replay that stroke and bow with his telestrator, the line.
Skidmore trying to go straight up the second arrow and right in the pocket, but he went right in the nose and left the 6-pin. There you see the shot. Now he's trying to make it stop right there. Cuts through, almost leaves the 6-7 split. Got a great break, has a simple spare.
All right. They're in the 8th for Skidmore, and up now quickly is Dennis Jacques. He'll be shooting in the right lane. Trailing by 3. This is after an open frame. Beautiful shot. Very much in control. In the pocket for an 8th frame strike.
This is the position he was in the last match, Chris. He set it up in the 8th and took advantage in the 9th and let himself get a good break in the 10th, but he hit it in the 9th, put himself in position. Right now he trails by 3, 9th frame, needs a strike to take the lead.
Looking away is his opponent. Coming up high, leaving the 10.
Same shot he threw to win the match against David Husted. High, or Jersey squasher as we call it. He carried it, got a good break last game. Here he still gets a good break, although he didn't strike. He could have had a split. Needs this to stay just 3 pins behind Gary Skidmore.
Over Jacques, it's 143 through 8 with a spare in the 9th. And Skidmore now. Spare working for him in the 8th, shooting in the foundation. Semifinal match, the winner to meet lefty Steve Cook.
Wife Sherry on the right, a great bowler in her own right, and Gary's stepfather on the left, rooting for a strike.
Well, here late in the semifinal game, we've seen 2 examples of powerful strikes.
Asking for a re-rack, Chris, I think just to collect his thoughts. Now, this young man is good in the clutch. He's one of the excellent young players that I've seen come out who gets better as the heat gets put on him. And I will be very surprised if he doesn't make an excellent stroke here to take a 13-pin lead. And if he has much experience at all, and I know his game, he'll throw what we call a rocket to the pocket. He's going to eliminate the lane for the money. You can throw one ball like that. We call it a Sunday ball. Let's see what he does.
And he's learning to master a thing called psyching. Here he is.
Agreed.
And it worked. A big double for Skidmore. Watch his reaction.
He really threw it well. Best shot of the match right there when he needed it. He set himself in this situation now with that double. Another strike, he shuts out Dennis Jacques. If he gets 9 spare, he also wins the match. He doesn't need to strike, just needs a good count and a spare.
Albuquerque's own Gary Skidmore. The loser of this match will get $7,500. The winner goes into the final, where the winner will receive $23,000, the loser $12,000. This is the man that won 2 matches and is now meeting Skidmore. Unbelievable number of examples of we all need luck. Need some breaks going for us, putting together 3 in a row. Gary Skidmore. He'll next meet Steve Cook. The Professional Bowlers Tour will continue after this.
I used to think when I made 25 grand, I'd be on Easy Street.
I make double what my father made, and I've got less to show for it.
I thought I was working for the future. Truth is, I'm just staying even.
People need help with their money, and many of the people getting help the least are the people Sears has served for close to a century. Well, Sears believes that you deserve more, and that's why Sears has created the Sears Financial Network, built to give you straight talk and simple answers about your money. A network Sears built with some of the best brains in the business. Dean Witter for your investments, Coldwell Banker for your real estate, Allstate for your insurance. They're ready to serve you now in their own offices across the country. You'll get straight talk and simple answers. The Sears Financial Network. Trust us to make it work for you.
Personal home robots, reality or novelty. Monday, watch ABC's World News Tonight.
Want to have some fun? Try to guess which of these toys will run longer. Here's a clue. It's the one with the Duracell battery. That's because when you leave it running, a Duracell battery will last up to 6 times longer, so it will still be going long after regular carbon batteries have stopped working. If you guess the pink elephant, you're right. Duracell. The copper top battery. It makes all your toys last longer.
The BMW 320i and the Honda Accord both have incredible resale value. Both the Honda Accord and the 320i surround you in functional design and comfort. In maneuverability and handling, both have been rated excellent. But there's a big difference when you get to the price. The 4-door Honda Accord, the 320i, the Honda Accord at your Tri-Honda dealers.
Little House star Melissa Gilbert, Monday at 7:30.
Now we have the pairing for the final match worth $23,000 to the victor. Gary Skidmore has defeated Dennis Jacques 205 to 183 after Jacques won 2. Jacques was $7,500 for his efforts in the Miller High Life Classic. Let's look at other finishers, though.
Chris, we had a 160-man field this week. It took a 215 average to make the top 24, a 210 average to get 48th, $1,150. And here's some of our other finishes. Roth up there again, Charlie Tapp, Tom Milton in a tie for 11th and 12th, Jimmy Pritz steady, Joe Hutchison looking good. Kyle Shedd trying to build up some accuracy, looks real good. 10 had his 90,000 last year. Bill Ryan at 300 this week. Ed Ressler back. Pete Weber powerful as ever. Warren Nelson 4 top 24s in a row. Albee stroking it down well. Curtis Messer, the rubber arm out there. Tommy Lasko and Rory Anderson round out the top 24.
Okay, as we look at Disneyland, we're at the Wonder Bowl for the season's premiere of Professional Bowlers Tour. Next Saturday at 5 Eastern, the Harlem Globetrotters return to New York and World Cup skiing from Kitzbühel, Austria. That's next Saturday at 5, Professional Bowlers Tour at its regular time of 3:30. Here is our final match now. We have Big Steve Cook, 6'6", 240 pounds, the tournament leader on the right, going against Gary Skidmore, who defeated Dennis Jacques in the semifinal match, 205 to 183. And Bo, the rundown of the professionals that finished, there were 1,000 amateurs competing here prior to the tournament getting underway. And interesting to note that the wheelchair bowlers were also included.
We had 19 wheelchair bowlers, and we also had the national championship compete.
Roseville, California, Steve Cook, winner of 6 tournaments.
Well, the same thing has happened to Cook as all the other previous 4 players. There is Al Utek, the national wheelchair bowling champion, Chris. He won the 2nd title up in Milwaukee at the Red Carpet Lanes where we have the Miller Open. He averaged almost 200. I'll tell you what, you put a barbell in his hand, he can bench press over 400 pounds. What a nice young man and great bowler.
So for Big Steve Cook, it's an open frame. And Bo, once when around the Wheelchair Association, they had me try it from a wheelchair, and it is difficult.
I'll bet. You need tremendous strength and determination. And here's a man who has determination, Chris. He's never lost a match in a championship round. He's 5 wins, 0 defeats, going for his first major title, the Miller High Life Classic, 23,000 first. Something disturbed him. Either that or his hands kind of stuck in the ball as he was going up to the foul line. Just take his time.
It's a way to do it.
2 things can happen. I've had that happen to me before, Chris. You put your hand in the ball and it's kind of hot down there and you get it to the top of the backswing, you don't think you're going to let it go. So it's best to stop. Or if you have a break in the concentration, just lose your spot on the way to the foul line, stop. It's difficult to do. He's a disciplined player.
First frame in the championship game, Gary Skidmore. Brought that concentration back, stroked it in the pocket.
Here's a low-angle replay, 5-step delivery. Watch the good swing close to the left leg. Nice loft out on the lane. Very little hook. See the good revolutions? Perfect hit. Could have knocked down tree trunks with that hit. Look at his eyes, Chris. You think he's not into it. Eyes down on the target. You can see he's amped up. That adrenaline is flowing.
And the pride of New Mexico has doubled after a break in concentration prior to his first shot. Gary Skidmore. It's his wife, Sherry. Now Steve Cook.
Pats that ball with rosin, and he has to wipe it off before it's legal. You're not actually allowed to put anything on the ball and keep it on the ball. It's just a nervous habit. He says he likes to get some in the hole so he doesn't drop the ball. All set for his 2nd shot.
And the big left-hander had trouble getting the ball after an open frame in the first.
Steve said if he couldn't get his ball to come up, he was going to move to the extreme outside line. As you see, the big guy lost a few pounds since last year, but he gained it back in money. He won almost $100,000 last year. But he said he's going to move to the extreme outside line, start the ball right up at the pocket. Let's see if he makes that move after he converts this spare.
Roseville, California, near Sacramento. So his first mark in 2 frames here in the championship final with 23,000 to the winner, 12,000 for second.
The big guy, really nice smooth swing, like a dancing elephant, just as big as can be, in good position. Now watch this knee bend. That's the key to a big guy. He's down to being about 4 foot tall when he gets down there that low. Leverage underneath the ball. As powerful as he is, he still keeps that hand underneath the ball. Good accuracy, good power.
Really have a contrast in styles here in our championship match, especially on the knee bend. Look at that average on the championship pair, 230. he liked that one and ran it out.
Showed some experience there. He analyzed the first 2 frames. The ball didn't come up. He moved the... Look where that ball is on the very last board, 10 feet from the pocket. Bingo. Cuts through, just overpowers the pins. That's the Steve Cook we know. He's made the adjustment. We're going to have a close match.
Now Skidmore with a double-up shooting in the 3rd frame. Look at that, from 89th to at least 2nd in a year. Just a little high, leaving the 610. He was happy with it because the 7 nearly stayed.
Gary must keep that speed up. We saw him come from behind and win that last match by throwing what we call the rocket shot or the very hard shot. He just stroked that ball down there and he just let it go and it went high, avoided the split. 610 spare.
Safely and well done. Pair of strikes and a spare for Skidmore. A lot of tension on that face.
Good bowler, good bowling school. Slippery Rock State, Pennsylvania. They used to make jokes of that on the Prudential College scoreboard, but they started winning some games.
Right. Again, the concentration.
Disturbance in the audience, Chris. Just misfortunate spilling of a glass. Fingertip grip, semi-roll. Nice strong lift.
Look at him coming through again after a concentration break. He did earlier. So he has 3 strikes and 4 frames now, taking a 19-pin lead. We're going to take a break here in Anaheim, California, but we'll be back with more of the final. Frank. We're back again at the Wonder Bowl, live from Anaheim. We're in the final match, and it's a good one between the tournament leaders Steve Cook of Roseville, California, and Gary Skidmore of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Here is Steve Cook, who opened in the 1st, marked with a spare in the 2nd. He has a strike working in the 3rd, now shooting in the 4th frame of this final game, trailing by 19. All but the 7, that big hook.
Had the 3-6-7 staying there for a moment. He thought he threw that ball sensational. You saw him start to run it out, and he did throw it sensational. He just did not get the reaction on the lane that he thought. That ball had been hooking back in the pocket all week long. All of a sudden, it skidded an extra 10 feet down the lane. Got a good break, really. Left only the 7-pin.
His shot in the 4th frame now. Tournament leader comes in, plays only 1 game. And keeps loose by practicing throughout the first 3 games.
See the big guy with a spare lesson right there. He moved to the extreme right-hand side of the approach, went across lane, threw it straight and hard.
6 years, a PBA member. He has 6 titles. And left to 7, much to his dismay. He is wearing a wireless microphone.
Gary Skidmore studies the situation. Let's watch Cook shoot this spare. He'll stand on the extreme right-hand side of the lane, throw it very hard down the center, and that's the way to cut down the angle if you throw the big hook.
Right against the return on the right side of the left lane. A lot of speed.
And he needed every bit of that angle, Chris. Just barely got it in the match. Trails by 20 pins.
Now with the strike-up shooting in the 5th, Gary Skidmore won the previous game 205 to Dennis Jacques 183.
As you said, there's a contrast in the styles of two players. Let's watch the upright, stiff-kneed shot of Gary Skidmore with a good loft.
And a double. Increases his lead to 30 pins here in the final game.
Taking advantage of poor luck by Steve Cook and capitalizing when he has a strike up, a mark of a great player. They very seldom ever leave a strike standing. If you get one, make a double out of it. Dick Weber was so great at doing that. It was one of the reasons he was one of the greatest players that ever lived. Skidmore leads by 30.
The spare up, Steve Cook will shoot in the 6th frame. One hardly knows what to say.
Well, I can count, Chris. 1, 3, 4, 6, 7. Look where that ball is. It's just tilting right off, almost in the moat. And then he brings it back very sharp. It's, as we said, that conditioner is carried down the lane. There's no finish on the back end. In order for that ball to strike, the lane would have to be about 65 feet long instead of 60 feet long. And Cook has really dug himself a hole. Watch how he goes at this. This is interesting. He made this split against me in the finals. He shoots for the 1 pin, tries to have the ball bounce into the 4 with a lot of speed.
Made it look easy, Bo. Practice, practice, huh?
Here's his strategy. He said if he got in a lot of trouble, he's going to play the extreme outside and bank the moat. And that's just what he did, except it's not coming back. He's only got one thing left to do. He trails by 45 pins. He has 4 frames left. He has to get some strikes. All power. Just pull out all stops. Forget trying to hit where he's looking. Just hope that he can get some good breaks and overpower the pins.
Only Steve's 2nd strike in this game, and he's always had good success in California. 3 of his 6 victories right here in his home state. Having troubles today against Gary Skidmore, who opened with a double, marked with a spare, now has 3 in a row, and is shooting in the 7th frame of this championship match.
Skidmore going at a 2:28 pace. The best Steve Cook can do is 2:23. He needs some help from himself and from Skidmore. Look at this great break. Head pin goes to the sideboard. Here it comes back around. 3-pound, 4-ounce pins. Very high center of gravity, and look at that reaction. Knocks that 10-pin right over. And Chris, the difference in the match so far, I feel, is the difference between the right side of the lane and the left side. The right side has a tracker worn area. We all know about it. It has a tendency to dry up more quickly than the left side, which is smooth. Now, normally that's a disadvantage, but in this match, it's worked in Gary Skidmore's favor.
Okay. Notice how much of the approach he uses all of it. 12 at the 4.
Cook studying the scoreboard. He knows he must strike out. If he doesn't strike out, he has no chance at all. Skidmore keeping the ball in play can only beat himself. That was 4-0 before last game. He won the last game. It's 5-0, and it looks like it's going to 6-0, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Eighth frame spare for Skidmore. Now with the strike-up shooting in the 8th, Steve Cook. His favorite sport in high school was archery.
Went to the national finals as a junior archer, and with that strength he's got in that upper body, he could hold that bow pretty steady.
And in a little more than a year, ABC's exclusive coverage of the summer games in Los Angeles, which includes archery.
Good point.
Big strike, the bullseye, and I might add, though, in archery, the United States ranks number 1 and 2 in the world.
I'd like to see him end up at that ranking in 1984.
Right.
Now Cook must strike. Fans are telling him what the score is. He knows it. He must strike, and he's pulled out all stops. The last 2 shots, he just cut it loose.
Re-rack. Asking for the re-rack, that RF mic.
Scoreboard tells the story. Cook in a must situation. If he doesn't strike here, it's all over.
Sounded so final, Bo.
It is. $23,000 first, 11,000 difference, just down to 12,000 per second. So he's still out there trying.
All but the 7. Feeble smile. Well, pressure has been on Skidmore. He won the semifinal game over Dennis Jacques, who had won the first 2 matches. The score was 205 to 183.
Seemingly unflappable Gary Skidmore has just won $23,000 to start the year. He's a pretty calm dude.
Last year won a total of 31,000. So in one day. Oops. So Steve Cook trying to win his 4th victory in the state of California. Standing between them has been this man, who opened with a double and strung 4 a little later. Now in the 9th frame with a spare working. So it's Skidmore nonetheless. Leaving the 6-9-10 is the winner. We'll return, but first, this message from one of our sponsors of the Miller High Life Classic.
I once rolled a log off a 100-foot waterfall, came up standing, and popped myself open a cold light beer from Miller.
Ah, you lumberjacks. Well, one time a big mouth bass pulled me up a waterfall. That's when you appreciate light beer, because it's less filling.
Yeah, but it was the thought of light's great taste that kept me going when I was cutting timber in the Great Sahara Forest.
Wait a minute. Sahara's the desert.
It is now.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
No, speaking of forest, remember that time?
Hey, over here, over here. Charlie should have known trouble was coming. He had warnings, hard starting, hesitation, stalling. STP gas treatment might have helped. It tunes up your gas for better performance. Used regularly, it keeps water from building up in your tank, helps clear your entire fuel line, and cleans your carburetor for better mileage. Satisfaction guaranteed. Don't wait for the warning signs. Get STP gas treatment and tune up your gas.
Every month, you can find an outstanding tool specially priced at your True Value hardware store. The January tool value of the month is 2 pairs of Cervest pliers, both for just $288. They feature slip joints for adjusting the jaws to fit different sized objects. And when you have 2 pairs of pliers, you can keep one handy in the workshop, the other in the kitchen. So get both of these Cervest pliers now for just $288 while supplies last at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
And as you see, Gary Skidmore of Albuquerque, New Mexico, shooting a .234 to Steve Cook's .180, has won $23,000 in the Miller High Life Classic Trophy. Cook with 12, Jake 7,500, and so on down.